What's up, everybody? This is Dave Dahl from Martin Guitar, another edition of Pro Tips. Today we're going to be talking again about strings. We're going to get into the science a little bit about why certain strings sound a little bit different on your guitar. So a long time ago, when people first started building stringed instruments, they used a lot of different kind of materials for strings, right? We used branches, they used twine, they used catgut. I mean, let's be honest, you can string your guitar with fishing wire and rubber bands and it's going to make a sound, but it might not be the sound that you're after. So here in front of me we have a bunch of examples of our families of strings. We have 92/8 phosphor bronze, we have 80/20 bronze, we have Monel. The choices are just endless. So for today, we're not going to get into all of the strings. We'll just go into some of our more popular. So our two most popular strings are the 92/8 phosphor bronze and our 80/20 strings. Both are a mixture of copper and a bunch of other elements. The blend is a little bit different in those. But with phosphor bronze, again, you're going to get more of a consistent sound over the spectrum. You're going to get kind of a warm sound. You're going to get some brights, some really articulate highs and really articulate lows. They work great over a vast range of guitars. With 80/20, they kind of come out of the box a little bit brighter. They may die down kind of quicker as the oxygen kind of gets to them, so you might find that they warm up rather quickly. On certain guitars, they may work better than others. I always try to say this, there's no wrong answer when you're picking strings, right? This isn't a guide to say, listen, you need to use phosphor bronze strings for this guitar, or 80/20 strings for this guitar, retro strings for that guitar. It doesn't make a difference. I mean, you could try every string on every kind of guitar that you have, and you're going to find that, wow, you know what, when I use 80/20 with these mahogany guitars, everything, it's the sound that I'm after. Or, you know, I really like to use phosphor bronze on my D28, but for some reason the phosphor bronze don't sound the same way that I would expect them to sound on my tripolo guitar. That's the whole idea. You can go through and you can try out a bunch of different ones to get the sound that you're after. But what we're talking about here is the specifics of the metals that are in them and how they actually affect and why they affect the sound of the guitar, right? So for example, let's talk about copper, right? So I've mentioned that copper is a major component in both the phosphor bronze and the 80/20 strings. What does copper do specifically? Well, the more copper you add, the warmer it actually makes the string. It actually produces a little bit warmer of a sound. Nickel, on the other hand, can kind of do a little bit of the opposite. So with, let's say, electric strings, for example, there's a lot of nickel and a lot of steel in electric strings, mostly because of the magnetic properties of it, because with electric guitar, the whole thing relies on the magnetic properties of the string transferred to the pickup to get the sound. With an acoustic guitar, you obviously don't need to worry about a magnetic pickup, but nickel and steel can also help with the resonance and how a guitar projects and kind of gets away from the warmth of it a little bit. So the other thing to take into consideration when you're talking about alloys is also the relationship between the core wire and the wrap wire. We use a very high-end, high tensile strength core wire, which allows the string to vibrate more freely. It's a thinner wire, right? But it still is very strong, and it helps the guitar stay in tune better, resists breaking. So what really shapes the way that the string sounds is what wrap wire you mate with the core wire. Nickel, for example, is pretty influentially neutral. It doesn't really add very much to it, but when you start adding different things like phosphor bronze and copper into that, all of that mix of things kind of combines to change the way that the string reacts. So again, just like I like to recommend on every one of these types of videos, and as I mentioned earlier in this one, there is no wrong answer when you're choosing strings, when you're trying to mate them with a guitar. We make a variety for a reason, because one doesn't fit everything, right? One style of music could use this string, one style of music could use that string, or maybe you're the kind of person that just uses one set of strings, you found your voice and done. But again, like always, I invite you to go out, try a bunch, and see what works best for you.